Hey everyone. Hopefully everyone can see us and hear us now. We are officially live. Forgive us for the crazy delay and the chaos. It has been quite the morning. Luke flew in. What time did you get in?
2 a.m. Flew in from Philly last night. This morning, I guess.
Tell them a little bit about what you were doing and how cool that
It
was.
was amazing. We went out for the last 25 years. Me and my family have a tradition to go every year to the NCAA wrestling D1 championship, and so it was amazing. It's kind of like our March Madness in like 3 straight days. It all gets done under one roof, just wrestling every day or all day, and so it's incredible. Had a final had the finals were insane. Donald Trump showed up. He was there. Him and Elon were shaking hands and meeting everyone, and then find the heavyweight championship. Olympic gold medalist is out there supposed to spank this other guy, and Wyatt Henderson beats him final 20 seconds, and he happens to be an Air Force lieutenant, and so really cool. Saluted the president. It was all over everything. So I was there. It was amazing, and I'm back to. I feel like faith in humanity when I went with all my people with crazy cauliflower ears and just freaking it's just red-blooded amazing humans that just are. Yeah, it's an incredible weekend we've done for a few decades. So
There's something about a bunch of men with cauliflower ear getting together. It's
yeah,
gonna be wild.
one place I feel at home.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
awesome.
yeah.
I've seen the clip 100 times now, and the fact that he does it in the final seconds on a single leg and then turns it to a double just was insane.
Yep.
Insane. Biggest upset, I think they're saying biggest upset maybe
It's
ever.
because of that. We've never had. Usually, it's post college. You go to the Olympics. So this guy that went to the Olympics in the middle of college, then came back. That's probably why it is because he. I don't think ever has an Olympic gold medalist been beat in college. Because when they're gold medalists, it's after college, and so it was wild. The place went nuts. It was just in super electric. So, but yeah, getting back to the grind, recovering, and back at it here at Mode.
Oh, that's awesome. So Luke flew in at 2 a.m. Bambi was driving in to help us with the podcast this morning, and his wheel literally fell off on the way here. So the wheels have fallen off a little bit. So Bambi texted me and said, "I'm not sure if I'm going to make it in," and so he made it in right at 11.
Drove a U-Haul truck here.
Yeah, grabbed a U-Haul. That's Luke's not kidding. He grabbed a U-Haul, and we're talking about what a good man is. Bambi's a good man.
He's a
for,
good man.
for leaving his car on three wheels, grabbing a U-Haul, coming in
Get here and make this happen.
yeah, just incredible. And so we've had kind of a chaotic morning, and then of course I'm the idiot that forgot my password to the Mode Men site, so we're using Find Your Mode for today.
So welcome, everyone. Find your mode.
Yeah.
We're here.
Men, women, children, who's ever watching, this is Mode Men's Group, just doing our weekly live podcast, interactive podcast, coaching call, and you're welcome to watch and participate. But if you're wondering what's going on, that's what's going on. For the future, men, we will be on the Mode Men page, and we'll be able to figure. Oh, we won't be able to do it for 60 days. It's a brand new page, so we're gonna have to figure out how to do the live podcast.
Probably put it on our app as well.
Yeah,
You gotta
Circle.
figure out how to get on that.
Do a live thing through Circle. So, a couple things to review. We had, sadly, I'm glad Luke got to go spend some time with his boys around the Big Strong Wrestling group, but sadly, we missed you, Luke, at our event. Just as a recap, it was amazing. We had Friday night the Spraggs, Patrick and James Sprague, speak to us as a group, and man, it was phenomenal. They lit us up with inspiration. They talked about what being a man really is. They talked about discipline, and one of the things that stood out to the group, a number of men talked about this, and a number of the boys, was when James talked about how he felt like he had not failed, but just not really done it the right way by making CrossFit his whole identity
Yeah.
when he was young. And he talked about how he had to figure out what part of his identity CrossFit was, and his life was a little out of balance. You were a college wrestler. You were really good at wrestling, and obviously successful businessman. Have you had to struggle with finding life balance and that kind of stuff?
Life balance is really tough. And what are you defined by? And literally at this tournament, the champions are not the only ones with the goal to win, right? James Sprague went and won the CrossFit Games, last year. he wasn't the only one that had a goal to be a CrossFit Games champion. I don't know if the 200 plate person had a goal to be there, but people within the running all have a goal. People in the running at the wrestling all have a goal. People that are doing business and want to be successful have goals. And sometimes for every one champion, there's a whole bunch of people that didn't get their goal. And so having yourself defined by that outcome, and then if you don't get it, you're wrecked. I mean, so much you hear so much in life, like failures, feedback, all this stuff, but that's easy to say, hard to do, and you really, really, really have to hone in on how does it balance of your life, and then how am I defined, and be more focused on the journey than the outcome, because the journey is where the value comes, and journey is where is if you can enjoy the journey, you got what you needed to out of it, even if the outcome isn't what you wanted it to be. And then so failure just becomes a stepping stone. And I've noticed Penn State's been racking. They set another points record this last year. They have done that better than anyone else in college wrestling, and it shows because their athletes are super balanced, super grounded, and they're grateful for being part of the experience, win, lose, or draw. It's incredible. So it's so important, and James shows that in how he's lived his life. And he happened to be the CrossFit Game champion, but he shared a lot of things, I'm sure, about the failures that came way before that you could have fallen on your face and said, hey, this isn't for me, because I'm defined by this outcome that I didn't get right off the bat, and so I'm going to give up because I'm going to go find something else that it'll work out perfectly every time. The first time it doesn't, right?
Yeah,
So
almost never. It was really cool. He did talk about a lot of failures, and Patrick was very open with some of his difficulties. I've always loved the phrase, forgive me if I butcher it, but it's not the pursuit of happiness, it's happiness in the pursuit, right?
yeah.
The journey really is so valuable. I told the story to someone on Friday night, so forgive me if you're on and you're listening. And men, just so you know, you are on. Thanks, Chris said, looking good, fellas. You're welcome. This is interactive. It's meant to be interactive. So if you have a comment or a question, I am sitting here with this phone in my hand, and I will read out your questions and comments, and we'll make sure we want this to be interactive. But I was telling someone the story that I remember my first big real estate check as a young man trying to make it in real estate, and I got the check in my hand and literally had to take it to the bank. It was so big, I couldn't even put it through I was so proud of myself. You couldn't put it through the what do you call it, the drive-through,
Yeah.
because I think it was a $5,000 limit or something, and it wasn't $1 million check or anything. A few tens of thousands, and I went into the main part of the bank, and I handed it to this like 18-year-old girl who was sitting there, and she looked at the check and lit up, and she said, "Oh, what do you do?" And I remember thinking, "Oh man, this is so cool. I made it. This is awesome. I feel so good." And I walked out to my car, and I sat in the car, and I was riding this high, and right when I sat down, it all just went away. And I was like, "Now what?" It wasn't like life-changing money that I would go buy a different house or a car.
Mm-hmm.
And I sat there and I thought, man, that was so fleeting.
Yep.
That was so unfulfilling. The look on her face in the bank was awesome, and a little egotistical for me in that moment. But then once I got back in the car, it was gone. And I realized really quick, your identity has to be, so much more than one thing. And it shouldn't just be your spouse. It shouldn't just be your kids. It shouldn't just be your job. There's a great combination of things that make us who we are.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah, it was really cool. So we've had crazy mornings. We've got to learn some things Friday night. For those who couldn't come, we missed you. We're going to do things like that often. We will do a speaker series once a month where we're going to try to get a really good speaker to come in, someone we can all be excited for, and have events like this often. We want to give you a rundown for what's coming this week and kind of a quick overview, and then we'll get into kind of what a good man is and have a quick discussion about that. So again, if you have questions or comments, throw them on the Facebook feed and we'll discuss them together. This week, this is what's coming up. Wednesday night here at Modeman HQ. nicknamed the Man Cave sometimes, but it's Modeman HQ area. We at 7 o'clock we're going to do a trivia night. Come one, come all. This is just men, so no sons on this one. So 18 and over. If you have a son who's 18, bring him. Bring your friends. Bring it. We're gonna have some fun. If you want to bring food to share, bring some chips, whatever. Just come and enjoy the time. We're gonna do some fun trivia stuff. There will be, if there are basketball games on. I know March Madness isn't happening Monday, but if there's an NBA game on or whatever, Wednesday, we'll throw it up on the TV. We have the pool table already set up. The ping pong and foosball are ready to go. And so just come Wednesday, hang out, right? Just some guy time, right, Luke?
Let's go.
Yeah, it'll just be fun.
It's super fun.
Yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna produce. I'm gonna post just a short video about the book we're gonna read. Luke should probably introduce it. He's the one that told me about it. I'd read it a long time ago. But Luke, what's the first book we're reading for April?
Yeah, it's the Warrior Way, and the Warrior Way, the Warrior Poet.
Yeah,
I think it's the
Warrior Poet Way. I think
that's what it is. Warrior Poet Way. I always call it the Warrior Poet, but essentially it's an incredible book because a lot of this balance, we talked about balance earlier, but a balance of what a man is important, right? A lot of this toxic masculinity talk has been about the one side of like we just want to railroad and do the one side of masculinity that is about protecting and having kind of that manly way about taking things on, and not the more sensitive side. And so it's a great book to show the balance of what masculinity needs to be, is being the most dangerous one in the room and being a protector, but also being the poet, right? And being able to nurture and love a woman, your wife or your significant other, and children. You can't always be that hard-nosed, grinder that is sometimes perceived as manliness, and there's a balance to it all. And so it's a great book. I loved it. My wife turned me on to it, and she had read it, and she's like, "Man, this is such a great book to show that balance and the equal sides of what manliness should be." And so I think it's a great book to start because we want to make sure that we show in our group what that both sides of what men should be. Get it right off the bat, and we'll do some other cool books about different nuances of Atomic Habits. I think is on our list. Mm-hmm. That's an awesome book. Some other things that have very specific kind of focuses, but this one's kind of a broad spectrum of what. And there's a lot of good books, but this one just came to mind when we wanted to start it off, and it's a great one.
Yeah, and just for information's sake, we will do a book a month as part of our book club, and each one will be themed. So we'll have a finance month where we talk about finances a lot, and the book will be financial in its literature, right? And then we have a mental health month coming up. That's a big one for men, that we whisper. We don't ever shout that we need mental health, and yet we all know we do. And so there will be that. There'll be marriage and family and other things like that. I'm really excited to read it. I'm still learning how to have that balance. The Uncle Rico in me is like, well, when I was in high school and I was tough and whatever, and you have kids and you have a wife, and toughness doesn't matter as much, and yet it's still really hard. I had a quick experience. I had a moment in Butte, Montana once. We stopped. We were living in Utah, and we were driving up here, and we stopped. We were coming to vacation Coeur d'Alene, and we stopped at a restaurant there, and I parked in a way that apparently this motorcycle gang did not appreciate. There's probably 5 or 6 of them. A bunch of them had driven away, and when I got out of the car, these older motorcycle gang members came up and were very vocal about how upset they were at me. My wife and kids I dropped off at the front of the restaurant, and so they were sitting there eating, and they looked out the window, and apparently the whole restaurant could see that there was tension between me and 5 or 6 bike gang members, and I didn't know what to do. And I had this moment of decision making where it was like, do I prove that I'm still tough, that I got it? Do I yield and humble myself? And because they wanted me to move my car, and it wasn't my fault. There was nothing wrong with my car. They just were asserting their dominance. and my wife told me later that she and my kids were terrified. They thought I was going to be killed out there. And that warrior and poet moment, they fight each other sometimes, and it's difficult to decide right, men? Which one am I going to be here?
Yep.
I mean, I knew that if I got in my car and moved the car, that would eat me alive for the rest of the vacation,
Yep.
and yet I did it
And
because
you're alive.
yeah, I'm alive. I'm alive,
Yeah.
and I really could have been in trouble and in front of my kids and stuff, and sometimes that poet is the right response, right?
It totally is. And I want to share a. Let me pull it up. I saw an incredible. We have this on our wall at our home, and my wife put it on there, and it's the it's the I don't know who put it on here. Which wolf are you feeding?
Yeah,
Um,
Chris is on right now.
Chris, dude, awesome thing. I have this on my wall at home, and it's the. I'll just read it quick. It's really short. An old Indian folk tale about a white and black wolf. It is commonly referred to as the tale of two wolves, which originates from Native American tradition, often attributed to the Cherokee people. The summary of the tale of the two wolves is an old Cherokee elder teaching his grandson about life. He tells a boy, "A fight is going on inside of me. It's a terrible fight between two wolves." He explains that one of the wolves represents evil, embodies anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other wolf represents good. It embodies joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The elder continues, the same fight is going on inside you and inside every other person too. Grandson thinks about it for a moment and then says, well, which wolf will win? And the old Cherokee simply replies, the one you feed. And if you could take that evil and good and compare it to like our man's side, right? The poet and the warrior, it's both need to be fed at times. There's a place for both of them. Obviously, you getting almost jumped by a Barker game, you fed the right one. But it's that side. If you're a man and you're only feeding one side, then that one just gets you out of balance. You know, this tradition you should never feed the evil wolf. But there's those two wolves of manliness and masculinity that need balance and that have two definitely different characteristics.
Yeah, there's that book called Wild at Heart. We may read that as a group at some point, where the guy does all this research, and he does talk about how men and especially boys, our sons, need to be wild. And I feel like growing up in the '90s and '80s, we were much more wild. That's how it feels right now. We just didn't have as many video games and things. I feel like I was always out riding a bike, always out and doing different things outside and jumping off stuff and things like that. And so even as a dad now, I'm a lot more afraid of wildness. I don't know if you have been getting this way as you gotten older, Luke, but like take cliff jumping for example. There are cliffs I used to do backflips off that now I stand up there and look like, why did I climb up here? Like, what am I doing? And you just, but there is this need for being wild. There's absolutely need, but I think you said it really well. There's a balance so that when you're around, your wife and kids, maybe that wildness needs to be tamed in certain scenarios and different places so that we're the poet as well.
Yep.
Yeah. And so as we're talking about these two wolves and what do you feed, let's get into the nuts and bolts of it. What does that look like? Let's talk about the poet side for a minute, because I think a lot of men kind of know what that wild side is. Most of us over 25 are not out getting in fights anymore or doing that kind of thing, but we understand that. What about the poet side? What have you seen in your life or learned that helps to feed that? We'll call it the tender masculinity, that tender side of you, as a father, as a husband, as a friend. Any thoughts on that?
I try. And a lot of this we're going to say. Let's make a big, massive disclosure. Scott or I are not perfect. We're going to talk about a lot of things about what a good man is that we are all working on ourselves, and our wives would probably attest to this.
Yeah.
And so the group, the main part of the group, and I want to say thank you, Chris, for posting that. That's amazing about this group.
Yes.
We can inspire each other. Go on our app. Go and put things on there that are on your mind and inspire. I was inspired by that this morning and reminded me of that thing that I hang on my wall. So that's what's amazing about this group, is we can go and try to while we all know we're not perfect, we all can help each other to be the best men we can be. And we're going to put up on a wall of that poster of being a champion in life and being a champion. Again, all of us, there's only one spot on the podium, and a lot of us are going to have goals that we don't reach. What defines us is can't be about the failure and be like, oh, it's not worth it because I didn't, be perfect in all the goals that I had set out for myself to be this man that I want to become. It's very important that we understand this a journey, and we do our best. It doesn't. You got to be careful because it doesn't mean you can condone just being lackadaisical about it and be like, oh well, whatever. There's a fine line of pushing and being the best and having a group around you that's pushing you to be your best and accountable, but at the same time not being too hard on yourself when you're trying really hard to do the things you know. But the poet side for me is there's some cool things that I want to get better at, and we're gonna do some activities about. In the book, it talks about learning how to dance, and dance. The word dance can be a lot of different things. I saw you this weekend. You went and did painting.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
went and did painting with your wife,
Yeah.
and your picture looked pretty good actually.
I learned that I'm not half bad. I
Yeah,
used the finger a little bit more, and she used the brush. But yeah, it was fun.
is that type of stuff. We have a ceramic studio. We have dance that we're going to be doing. It's those types of things where you wouldn't see a guy with a friggin' apron on doing painting is like a masculine thing, but it's something that really pours into our wives that we can be that side to them, and it opens us up to being hopefully in conversations and in experiences that open hearts and that have meaningful conversations and discussions with our significant other. Um, I'm always working to improve this. I really am. I even setting aside with a busy family of 5 kids, that date night every week, to go out there and do things, and then do things that isn't just like, you know, go get a movie or just out to dinner. Things that you could have an experience with your wife, and then have something that is a little bit more of that middle ground of what men should be open to and be vulnerable to. That makes I think definitely makes better relationships. Then on the kids side, being able to listen, being able to not just say, I know what's best for you, let me just share with you, but being able to listen and be the friend first, but not the friend to the point that you're not the parent,
Right.
but having them know that you care and that you love them, and then hopefully that opens up hopefully that allows them to be open to whatever you have to say, and that they value that. So I don't know. I'm still working on it. I'm excited to pour back in the book. It's been a minute. There's so many good tips and tricks there, but man, trying every day to hone in on that poet side, and yeah,
Yeah, I just say that we all talk about, and I believe this 100%, men should protect their wives,
yeah,
right? But we immediately picture like the guy in the parking lot that's coming up that we have to physically defend. That's the rare. That's the rare, rare, rare experience. Usually we're protecting her honor in the sense of people talking bad or wanting me to wife bash with them or something like that. I also think you protect their mental health, their emotional state, their happiness, and,
yep,
and not that we're solely responsible for their happiness, but I went and painted with my wife against all normal fiber, what all the fibers in my body would want to do, because I knew that that would make her happy. It was her birthday this weekend. She said, I want to go do this paint thing, and I'm trying to protect her smiles, so to speak, not to
hmm
be cheesy about it, but the amount of times she smiles are usually indicative of what I'm doing, right, the husband. And so I tried to do that for her. I learned a great lesson. I'll share this one. Whether you're Christian or not, we're non-denominational as a group, but we hope that we can share Christian things, and those who aren't can share their worldviews and things. But I learned a powerful lesson about being the poet, so to speak, with my children from a picture of Jesus Christ. There's this picture that I love where it's the woman who was caught in adultery. And it's just a painting. It's an artist's rendition of the event. But she comes to Christ, right? She's kind of thrown in front of him. And she has, in this picture, she has these torn clothes. And she's kind of hiding her face with shame. And Christ in this photo is down on one knee, and he's doing the writing in the sand as the story tells. And he's on her level. And I used to teach this to students of mine, to look at his positioning as a parent. And there is a great difference, and we've all done this, and Luke says it so well. I am trying to get better at this. I will fail tomorrow at this very thing that I'm teaching right now. But there are moments when you're upset at your child, and just watch how you physically respond to them. Meaning, do you walk up, tower over them, and sort of, point the finger down? It's this feeling of intimidation. We're trying to create fear. We're trying to scare them or into some sort of submission. And I would always go back to this picture with Christ being at this woman's level. And if you have young kids, try this. Older teenagers, they're a little taller now, but if you have young kids, trust me, try this. When they do something that gets you upset, or they do something they're not supposed to, kneel down to their level, and instead of getting after them, just say, "Are you okay? What's going on?
Mm.
Let's talk about." Watch what happens. Just try both. Watch what happens. The towering over, especially if you have a little girl, the towering over them, you watch that little girl run from you. They'll run from you out of fear. if you get down on their level, you watch what your daughter does. Mark my words, she buries her head in your chest. She comes over to you. She's still nervous. She's still, dad's not happy, but it's this inviting moment.
Yeah.
And there's a time to be the warrior, maybe a teenager who's acting up, who needs a kick in the pants, so to speak. Not literally, right, but that metaphorical kick in the pants. But you watch as you become poet dad, you watch that relationship. It's astonishing how children will respond to that. So.
Yeah, we actually have a. I may see if he's available for a night. It'd be a short. It would be a short, or I'll have him back. But I was talking. He's here for a week. We every year, a couple times a year, we have this neuroscientist come from the West Side. He's from Seattle. Incredible. He's Kieran O'Mani. He's an Irish fellow. That's amazing. And he does work with our teachers up at our school, Liberty Launch Academy. And the stuff he shares about the brain science, he's a neuroscientist that was used to be in education and found neuroscience to answer all the questions he had of why education wasn't working. And essentially, everything you just mentioned of why they run or why they come into you all has to do with what's going on in their brain. And literally, if you can find out those secrets of what's happening between their ears, you literally, have you ever, people always sometimes say, I wish there was an owner's manual for kids.
Mm-hmm.
As close you get to owner's manual is understanding the kid's brain, because that reaction that you have and how you kind of speak and talk to your children and their reaction to it all has to do with their reaction by what's happening in their brain. If they're freeze, fight, or flight, or if they're wanting to hug, they're wanting to listen. If we want this intelligent conversation, they need to be in the prefrontal cortex. They're just sitting there with like no verbal. They're just scared, right? And he has taught our teachers exactly how and what to do in situations with behaviors in their class. And literally, as I've been in these classrooms and I've had him do parent things, it's incredible what parents can learn. Because there's everything that's going on with your child where it's so frustrated. It all has answers with brain science of what's happening. So anyway, for sure, if he doesn't do it this next week, it might be too short of a fuse to get a bunch of guys out. But he is incredible at helping. You can literally ask him questions about real life scenarios that happen with your children, and he can literally say, "This is what's going on in their brain, and this is what's happening." And so it's almost like this like awakening of like, "Oh, I see that now," and it's like you can't like that. What's happening in their brain is frustrating you, but that is what it is. And there's ways to unlock the things that you're wanting out of them in different ways than you're doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And that warrior side can be very detrimental to what's happening in a child's brain or even a wife's brain. When I want to go solve all the problems and she just wants me to listen, mm-hmm. That's not giving her brain and her reaction. And my brain goes to another space that's not supposed to go, or we shouldn't let it go. And so anyway, a lot of really cool stuff that neuroscience can answer in these things, and we have this incredible expert I'd love to bring to the group.
That's
and
awesome.
have him speak.
Yeah, we got to get him lined up. There's a science to parenting. There's a science to being a husband. So I love that. We're going to go to a question that Chris asks, and this is a perfect. Thanks for the softball question, Chris. Whether he knew that it was that one or not. But let me just say, there's a warrior in us, and there's a poet in us, and we're going to try to have this group help. What would be the right word? Not teach, but encourage, or maybe teach is the right word. You how to properly balance those things
Hmm.
in your life, because they're both so needed, as we all know. Chris just asked us, what's the most important thing you want other men to get out of this group, which is why we're sitting here today. These podcasts will become more refined, as you know. We're going to sit down with actual experts in different fields and 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 ask them questions. But right now, this is our kickoff podcast. What is a good man, and what does this group hope to do for men? Right, making good men, bad men good, good men better kind of concept.
Hmm.
So, Luke, what do you think when you hear that?
Well, I believe firmly that good men in a community are so needed, and you see in certain instances where men aren't involved, positive men aren't involved in certain kids' lives, the outcomes are terrible, and the data shows really really bad outcomes. And I think that we clearly need leaders that are men, to do certain responsibilities in a community. So we'll assume that there's a need for good men. The the space we have today to build a community around that concept. We're one of the only one of the only societies of our American societies, one of the only ones that doesn't really take this to heart. How we transition boys to men, how we harness and have these supportive groups within men, or a place that men can gather. That's usually done in churches. Some churches are doing it well, some aren't. And then also too, a lot of what I love about our men's group is I wouldn't be hanging out with many of these people just because of the church they go to, because I wouldn't prescribe, or they wouldn't prescribe to mine, or I don't go to church at all, right? Whatever the case may be. So my goal is to give a space for these men to gather under this idea that we should be good men for a community, and that we can gather together, help each other become stronger off of principles that don't have to be religious, that anyone would agree to, right? That we should uphold, and we have what a one man is on our website now, and those are again goals that we all have, but just simply a space. When we had our very first dinner, everybody was wanting to have this question. It was almost this relieving thing that, is this what I think it is, of it just being a men's group? And that's exactly all it is. And then having us have these bits of book clubs, and other times of connection, and other times of inspiration, and other times of events that will sometimes be fun and totally trivia night or watching a game, but also be very intentional. Having a brain scientist or reading a book that's really intentional about outcomes. All of them are needed for us to get where we want to go as a man. And so much of us need that camaraderie and that brotherhood to reach our goals and to feel fulfilled as a man, to do what we all know we want to do. Our families will need us to be the best, to be our best. Community, I believe, needs us to be our best. And so I hope to provide a space that won't be for everyone potentially, but will be a space for many, many, many men, hundreds, we believe, that will come and take part and massively benefit their lives because of their involvement in this group. And so, very simply, it's a complex question, but very at the highest level, we want to build a community for great men to become better men in this general vicinity. But even we're getting interest from outside this area. So I think we can also provide an option and some solutions for them as well.
Yeah, I echo all that Luke just said. These are the conversations Luke and I have spent hours discussing, literally hours, trying to figure out what the best way to help as many men as possible. And we all know that these guys' nights where we're watching the game will inevitably turn into conversations that are meaningful, right? When we say just come have fun, we all know that standing around a barbecue, sometimes the most meaningful, vulnerable conversations happen around a fire pit, around a barbecue, playing ping pong. You start to ask each other about your lives. And so the intentionality we have is, if we can get men to gather under this idea of just being part of a brotherhood, that those things will happen organically. And we really do envision that men in this group will become friends after not knowing each other, and vacation buddies, and all of a sudden guys trips and all these cool things. will come out of it. I would just add that men, even when we think we can't do this alone. There's all of these phrases out there, like your net worth is or your network is your net worth, right? Your proximity is power, or you're a compilation of the 5 people you spend the most time with. There's all these sayings talking about who we're around, how much it really impacts us. And yet there just aren't many people outside of our chosen fields, our job. There aren't many places, I should say, where men can just go gather.
Hmm.
Most of us are older and we're not really hanging out at bars, and church is a place that we can meet people. But beyond that, like even softball leagues are like not as popular as they once were. Even the bowling leagues and things, just it's hard to find a place. So Luke and I are going to provide a place, and everything will be scheduled and intentional and done in a way that hopefully will benefit and bless a lot of men. So if you're looking for a networking group because you want to enhance your business, we will provide opportunities for that. If you're thinking you want to be a better husband or a father, we're gonna talk about that all the time. If you just need friendship and brotherhood, we will have that. If you're struggling with something and you want support, we will have that. We're not trying to be so niche that we leave anyone out. We're trying to create a place where we can lift each other, and that what's that, all rising tides lifts all boats, and we're trying to just get a bunch of boats in this harbor. And so, Chris, I hope that answers. He just posted a clapping emoji, so it was good. So you should feel welcomed here,
Yeah.
right? No matter who you are,
Yeah.
we want you. When Luke says this won't be for everyone, there are men that won't want this type of activity and interaction. We're going to push men. We believe that iron sharpens iron. We've heard that said a number of times in this group already. We will have an achievement program that will be tough, and we'll ask all men to put some, including me and Luke, to put some effort into it, and it'll test you emotionally, mentally, intellectually. To go through this program that will take multiple years probably to get to the top of this warrior mountain that we're developing out. And so we'll have some cool parts of this men's group that will really refine us as men.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's that community. I also love the elements of us sharing. We all want to keep sharpening something, and we already have some incredible groups that are popping out of it. The people sharing their hobbies and their other things that can keep us interesting and interested in trying something new. Or hey, I love that too, and I got a group of people around a purpose, and those purpose groups are going to be fun. And as you well know, you guys might not know, Mode Men is gathering around purpose, to gather with purpose, and men gathering around a purpose. And we'll have different purposes, as you've mentioned. A few of them might be just a barbecue, but there's underlying things that will happen. But there's going to be times we go mountain biking. There's going to be times where we have different studies or book clubs, and each one of them will have a purpose. And I think a lot of times we go through life purposeless.
Yeah.
What did I get done today? I don't know. I lived a day without purpose, right? What am I going to do next week? I don't know. And a lot of things, we go show up to something. Sometimes when you show up to a place or a party or something, and you're just like, there's no purpose here. Because not that there always has to be, but that really, I think we all yearn for purpose in life. And purpose in life isn't just all of a sudden just figured out for a whole life. You gain purpose in life by daily goals and tasks, and by surrounding yourself around people that also have a similar drive for that same and want for that same purpose. Now, if you can go do that by having an activity that had the specific purpose I was interested in, and then that is executed on, that gets you farther down that road. When you live a life of days that all had purpose, that you were driven to be interested in and then achieved, that's a life of purpose, and I think that's what we're going to deliver here, and have people come with their heartfelt purposes that they believe in strongly, and pour into each other and to themselves. And so it's going to be really super fun to see all the different purpose groups that flow out of this. And again, we're going to start breaking down the details or how to structure a purpose group. But how cool would it be that when you literally go and sign up for something, an event or something, you literally see on that, the purpose of this event will be right there. And I can see I'm interested in that or I'm not. And then the person putting on that event, or the person putting on any given thing, is going to be very it's going to be very clear and concise exactly what is expected of them. And when everybody shows up, they heard and saw what this purpose of this event is going to become. So it'll be really cool. I think when we just, what if the world worked like that? You know what I mean? That'd be amazing. And so I think it's gonna be fun just to have that type of detail involved into this group that we all prescribe to. And I think it'll really, again, I think it'll end with a bunch of dudes that are, moving forward with different purpose with purposeful life broken down into a whole bunch of different things driven by events and whatnot that we do.
Yeah, I've had I don't know 6, 7, 8 men already reach out to me, and thank you for those who have asked, can I lead a certain group? Can I do? I had one yesterday reach out and say, hey, are we going to do a shooting club? I
Yeah.
really like guns and shooting. Can we do a shooting club? And you know what my answer was? Same as the other 6 or 7 men. Heck yeah, if that's what you're into, let's get a group, a breakout group. It's called Spaces on our app, but let's
Mhm.
get a space for that you can lead, and we'll all go shooting together. And this, we don't want anyone to feel overwhelmed when they're in this group. There might be 50 activities that week because of all, but you just pick and choose the ones you want to be part of, and we'll give all sorts of cool leadership opportunities and cool experiences.
Yep.
And I'm confident that a year in this group, you'll say that all these type of things helped you in all areas of your life.
Well, and that's what me and you want to do is kind of, we're going to be putting on these first episodes, but we're going to be filling these episodes with, in the very near future, with these people passionate
Yes.
about these other different parts of their life and other different things that they're wanting to share. And it's a give receive, right? You're going to give things, but you're also going to receive things, and you'll be in different seats and have different opportunities depending on where you're at with different topics.
Yeah, Luke and I mean it when we say we hope to fade to the back in this group. We do not want it to be, we want the group to be the face. We
Yeah.
want all the men to feel part of it and like they belong. I've been in many rooms with people where I've had imposter syndrome and I wonder, do I belong in this room? These are all amazing men. Am I the one non-amazing man? And we hope to create a culture and vibe where the most successful financially can hang out with the least successful financially, and we're all mode men together. And so I take a lot of pride in that name already, and I'm super excited to be part of it. And so we have some cool things. I'm just going to rattle off, and Luke, jump in if I'm forgetting any as we close up here. Let me tell you what's going to happen in the future with these, and then I'll rattle off some cool activities that we have coming up to look forward to. So every Monday at 11 a.m., we will do one of these live. Again, they will get more refined, and hopefully Bambli's tires are on tighter in his car, and we won't have last minute issues and things like that. So yeah, Dawkins just wrote, I'd love to lead a side-by-side four-wheeler off-road group. That would be so fun. We'd all love that. There will be ski groups, and someone came up to me the other day and said, hey, can we come play pickup basketball at this outdoor court right
You
here
got
in
the
front
coolest street ball.
of street ball,
Street
right?
ball court.
So we'll do all those things, and so Mondays at 11 we'll do this. Next week I'm out of town, and so we'll see if Luke can do this. If we may pre-record a few of these. We're gonna try to get really, experts in certain fields, and they may not be able to do it on a Monday, so that one may be pre-recorded. We want to do these live so that you can ask questions. I've watched so many, like take for example a real estate podcast where I've sat and listened and I have questions, but you can't ever ask a podcast. So we want to make it where you can actually ask questions and interact that way. So we'll do our best with that. We are really excited about some of the really cool things. I'll give credit to Luke for this. Luke has literally built like the coolest foundation for a men's group. He owns so many cool things that we are going to be able to have access to because of the kindness of Luke to share those things. So we're going to be at the Speedway. For those who haven't heard, Luke's going to give us a section at the track that will be the mode and mode men, like VIP section. And members will get to come to these events and hang out in this VIP area. And the racing's going to be amazing, but the camaraderie, and do you want to say anything about that? That's
It's going to be awesome. Like we'll have. So I bought the Speedway, like I think it's 2016, and really I kind of flipped it on its head because I personally don't like racing very much. I love the environment that it creates, but we've done a lot of really cool things with some of the other activities. We'll have racing events, which will be fun. We have also race cars that we'll be able to get in and race around the track with, have some experiences there. but also family nights that where you just come, whether it's a race. We have also things that are one of our first events, I think, is a boat race where demolition derby cars drag around boats without trailers and destroy full-on fiberglass boats, and it's just it's
It's so cool.
craziest cool thing. I like it more than demo derbies. It's just amazing. Um, we have everything from concerts to lantern festivals to just so many different things going on at the speedway, and so we're gonna have just tons of activities that we can gather around that space. It's just a really cool space we can feed and entertain thousands of people, and that there'll be a special space for the mode community to come and engage. We just renamed the stadium Mode Speedway, or Mode Stadium at State Line Speedway, and we're doubling down on this and really making this a community space. The cool thing that I was able to promise in this name change from Finley was we want to make that space so much more community driven, and a space where we gather with purpose. That is really big for me in this mission that we're building at Mode. There'll be men's opportunities, there'll be women's opportunities, there'll be family opportunities to gather there with purpose. We just planted 5 acres of grass where we could go and play all sorts of sports, have festivals out there, that they're all plugged into our facilities with the concessions and whatnot. It's just, to your point, it's just totally dialed for amazing experiences to happen there. And so that's just an option we're going to have starting off here in April. So
Yeah.
we pretty much go every single weekend from April all the way to October. Every weekend we have something going on there. So we'll be putting out a schedule once we get our systems in place with Mode Men, of which events are available for the Mode Men group. We can't do every single one of them because there's something packed to the gills, and we'll have different people using the VIP space. But we'll have plenty of opportunities to have the Mode Men group go and be a part of it, go and be part of a networking opportunity to have all of them show up and hang out together and watch something fun.
Yeah.
But again, like you said, where you're barbecuing or watching a race, it's the camaraderie, it's the meeting together, it's the conversations that happen alongside that are super meaningful.
Yeah, I love that. I'll just rattle off a few and so everyone can understand, and then we'll let you. I'll get back to what you're doing today. We're gonna do cow tipping. That's one I'm looking forward to. It's not
We
what you
painted
think, but
we painted buses like cows, and the whole goal is to have a whole bunch of demo derby cars come out, and someone's driving this bus, and they're trying to tip it over.
yep,
And so it's like
so
that's going to
fun.
be fun. There you don't have to explain anything more, and they call it cow tipping. We also have something called roller derby. It's not people on roller skates going around like you think. It's $300 cars that they're ready to take to the junkyard, and they actually run still before they crush them, and they go and finish them off on the racetrack. So airbags are deploying, like they're not these highly built freaking demo cars. It's like a 2002, freaking Mitsubishi that still runs great. Do you know what's crazy about this race too? Minivans kill it,
Yeah, of
dude.
course,
Like,
of
dude,
course.
the freaking soccer wagons
Yeah,
are like they are never die. Like I feel so much safer in a minivan because of how I see them get destroyed on a
right.
track.
Yeah,
They'll go on rims, full on rims. Bam, you should drive a minivan because if your wheel falls off, it'll still drive around.
yeah,
If you got a minivan, it will still apply. Bambi's on the other wall doing our technical stuff, so I'm talking to him in a way. But no, really cool. 2 nights on Father's Day and Mother's Day. Mother's Day weekend, we're gonna have a huge event that's Lantern Fest, which is we light off 7,000 Chinese lanterns. It's an incredible event. Go look
Google
it
it
up.
if you
Yeah,
if you've
Night
never seen
Lights
it.
is what it's called. Um, and we're gonna have this crazy cool VIP experience. It's a fundraiser for our school that is going to be amazing. We're gonna have a big, huge bonfire, food, fully catered food, and this VIP space where it's almost this, the spiritual experience where you light this lantern off. You can write a message to your loved ones that are maybe passed or whatever, and you see 7,000 lanterns light up in the sky. There's live music, and 7,000 lanterns because over 7,000 people show up. It's insane.
So
It's a
cool.
massive festival. And then on Father's Day weekend, we have a thing called Father Fest, where it's everything dudes. We have burnout competitions. We found these like people. They aren't midget wrestlers, but they're full on W. They bring the ring. They do wrestling there. It's not the wrestling that's
Yeah,
true
yeah.
wrestling like I did, but goofball wrestling that's hilarious. We have a whole bunch of booths that are just guy related. But anyway, That's called Father Fest. We've done that for a few years. Speaking of, the Hell's Angels show up, so I want to
Yeah.
keep you away from parking.
See my old buddies. Yeah.
They're gonna
They'll remember
jump you in
me.
the parking lot. Make sure your wife drives there. So, but yeah, the Hell's Angels. It's just a cool night for Father's Day.
That's
So those two are fun for parents, and so bring your wife. Be the poet. You can be the poet at Mother's Day, and be the warrior on Father's Day.
Oh, I love that. We're gonna do a father and son monster truck night in August. There's just so much we could go on and on
Yeah.
about that. I do want to say a couple things, a couple more activities. We're doing daddy daughter dances, daddy daughter nights. We're doing mother son dance. That one doesn't happen as often. We're gonna do cooking classes with our spouses, date nights constantly, once a month at least. We'll do date nights. Luke, the school he founded, Liberty Launch Academy, owns a 35,000 square foot mansion in Liberty Lake on 55 acres, and the front room of that is just the coolest. Luke says it looks like Hogwarts. It has all this beautiful wood and these chandeliers and a 6 foot tall fireplace, and we're going to do date nights up there, and we'll have speakers up there, father and son campouts out on the hills there, giant bonfires, just so many cool activities. We are going to do activities without any of you men, but just for your wives and girlfriends. We feel like we should give back to them as well, and we may do an activity with them, hopefully to help them understand what a men's group is, in case your spouses are like, what's happening. We'll show them that we're trying to help you be a better husband and father. That way as well. And then if your wives and girlfriends are asking, we've already planned a lot of it, but we will do a women's group. This is not just men only.
We won't.
We won't. Mode will have a women's group.
Yeah.
We started with men because Luke and I are men, and we're going to find an amazing woman who will lead our women's group. So there is that coming. And we're actually going to do a lot of family unity type stuff as well. Someone said something about like a coming of age for young men. We have plans for that.
Yeah, rite of passage is huge, and mentioned it earlier. One of the only, only one of these civilizations almost that haven't done it for years. And I literally, we need it so bad. And there's an element we do at the school. We do a lot of that at the school where boys at certain ages, specifically middle school, kind of 12 to 15 years old, need to start understanding that they're leaving, boyhood to manhood, and it needs to be intentional. It doesn't need to, and if you look at it, they're in some of their worst environment for that, like, to be done. Like, you look at middle school and it's just, it's a mess, and you give them supercomputers in their pockets and you wonder how it's going to work out. And it's like, it's not great. And boys are really struggling in that age group band of their life, and men need to show up in their life at that time, and give them, and moms need to be understanding that the relationship with their son is going to be a little different because he's not a boy, he's a man. He's moving on to manhood, and there's some really cool things that moms can do to help and facilitate that transition. It's not overnight, but it needs to be intentional in them understanding it, and then working on that rite of passage kind of process that we can come up with some really cool things that we have ideas for, and so stay tuned for that. It's going to be 12 to 15-year-old men or boys that we're going to help them kind of transition some survival stuff, some just pouring into them. What is a good man? What does that mean? How do we support? How do they become warrior poets? It's going to be really super special, and I think it's a huge need.
Yeah, and we've recruited purposely. We've brought in certain men into our men's group who are experts at different things that we think boys could really benefit from. So we have that in the works. We know the direction. We're not announcing things because we got to iron out a few wrinkles before it could be announced. But we have some summer camp things and some other things. We're even going to do no phone fun nights here at Mode where you can drop your kids off.
No phone Fridays.
No phone Friday funs, and you'll be able to drop kids off. Well, you can hang out at the man cave or HQ or different things, but that we'll provide some activities for kids without phones and just go back to all this. So we have a lot. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm actually going to send out for those listening. I'll send out a survey this week or next week because we want to know what you want and what you're hoping for, and we want to tailor this around needs of the men as well. And so we'll be very interactive with you and you men and how we approach all of this. So we thank you for joining us. And obviously, if you're listening to this, even if you didn't join us live, we're going to post these on our page, on our website, wearemodemen.com. Eventually, we'll have these up so you can go back and re-listen. Luke and I just jumped in here and kind of riffed today.
Yep.
These will be much more refined, and we'll have some incredibly cool experts, and some of you men that are in the group will have come sit down and share your stories and things like that as well.
Okay.
Cool. All right. We'll
Thanks
see
for
you
tuning
guys.
in.
See you Wednesday at 7.